Hi Aquarius, welcome to your weekly love reading. So what's going to happen for you this week in love? Okay, so I feel as though your person is in the dark night of the soul. They're going through a lot of darkness, a lot of shadow, a lot of pains coming up. I feel as though they're feeling very lonely right now. They may be feeling rejected. They're feeling as though their life has been turned upside down since meeting you. So they're really going through this crisis stage right now, and it's very traumatic, it's very intense, it's a lot of thoughts, a lot of pain from the past and inner child wounds, maybe even past life wounds and fears, and are really been triggered up within this person. So you may feel like they're going inwards a lot. They're needing this time alone to go through this shadow side, okay? And they're really in the thick of this void. They're in the void. And they may be trying to get life to go back to normal in certain ways. They're feeling very burnt out by their old belief systems, their old life crumbling. This connection has really broken open their mind, blown their mind. A hell of a lot of mind-blowing things have happened. So this is like the shattering of the old self, and it's very scary. It can feel very traumatic, because it's like a major transition into the true soul self, but it's like the breaking down of the false identity. And it's natural. This is a natural part. This is a natural stage of your connection, okay? It's the breaking down of the ego or the false self, and the false self tries to hold on tightly for a while and make everything go back to normal. I feel like this person, they're feeling extremely overwhelmed right now, because so much mind-blowing changes have happened on an energetic level. They're seeing themselves completely differently than a few months ago. They're seeing life from a totally different perspective. A lot of the matrix has fallen down. I feel like they're feeling very lonely in their day-to-day life, like they feel very disconnected now. It's kind of ironic in a way, or it's that paradox where they felt so connected to you on such a deep soul level. Their true soul self has come to life. It's come back into their conscious realization. But that's very threatening to the false self, the matrix self, okay, or the ego self. I'm a bit hesitant to use ego self, because there's a lot of quite negative association linked to the word ego, but it's the false self, the false identity tries to hold on very tightly to that sense of stability or the old belief systems. And so you may be feeling resistance from this person, and it's like totally natural. And this is where this acceptance card is coming in. I feel this is a message from Spirit to try and be in this accepting, understanding, compassionate place. This is Divine Feminine helping Divine Masculine here. I feel like Divine Masculine is really going through a lot emotionally right now. I feel like they're mind fucked. Excuse my language, but I feel like their mind is just been ravaged by this connection, okay? But again, this is a natural part of this process of spiritual awakening. This is a crumbling, this is a major tower moment for this person. It's the limitations, the false self breaking down, but it can make a person feel very unstable, very unsure. This person's maybe trying to kind of get away from overthinking about things right now, because it's really fucked with their mind recently. And I do feel some of them are feeling rejected, by you kind of thing, but it's not. You know, this person is so loved, so deeply loved, by divine feminine, by soul family, by the universe. Okay, shifting universes. So this person's world has been turned upside down. They may be feeling a lot of anger, a lot of stress definitely right now, resentments maybe even as well. And this is the shifting of the universes. This is them shifting into that higher dimensional self and the breaking, you know, very chaotic time, going through this crisis. And yeah, they may be struggling with that, and they may be feeling alone, like they have no one to talk to about this. And so they may be trying to distract themselves, or, you know, this is just, I'm really seeing this is a time where this person in the higher dimensions has really been held, really being supported by the divine, by soul family, and by divine feminine as well. Falling. Okay, so this person feels like they're falling. They feel this sense of wanting to take back or grasp back some sort of control, because they're feeling like it's falling, it's spiraling, falling out of control. And that's natural to feel extremely uneasy and fearful in that stage. So this person's trying to create some sort of stability. It may be through avoiding what's going on emotionally, what's going on mentally. Okay, I feel like this person's very heartbroken right now. They feel like divine feminine that you have rejected them or you don't love them, but I know that you love them so deeply. The love is so incredibly deep. But divine feminine, you've been going through these tower moments as well, and you're feeling kind of all over the place at times, and stability seems to be lost kind of thing. There's this feeling of instability, insecurity, fears. So it is a very chaotic time right now, but you need to know that this is all happening for a really good reason. It's the shifting out of the false self or the old earth energies, shifting into the new earth, into the higher dimensions, into the higher vibrations. And divine, yeah, this person is really feeling rejected right now, but it's not rejection. If only they knew how much you love them. There's no words to describe that, how deeply. But I feel as though this person is misunderstanding, and they're feeling as though divine feminine doesn't love them as much as they love divine feminine. And so there could be, well, I'm feeling a lot of pain there. They're feeling disconnected, they're feeling cut off from divine feminine. But it's partly to do with the thoughts, the wounds that have been stirred up for a good reason, to be worked through, to be released, because that is what's going to be happening in the long run. But I feel like as all these fears are stirred up in the mind, we get sucked into the mind, and thoughts and painful stories, and that clouds us from what our heart tells us, that clouds us from our intuition. It takes us into the place, or it takes us into that dimension, that energy of separation, or the belief of separation. So that is definitely contributing to this person feeling extremely lonely at this time. But this is natural. This is a stage, and eventually this will burn itself out. Like the false self, the false beliefs or stories will burn out, and as time passes, there will be a clarity that comes to this person, that they know that they are so loved, and that this is not a rejection at all. And then they will be able to fall back into the heart space, into the knowing deep down within their heart, within their soul. This void is really talking about this person being in a process of birth, okay? Both divine masculine and feminine are going through this. But I feel like divine feminine, you're more experienced on this divine path of consciousness, consciously being aware of what's going on, and consciously being more aware or more experienced when it comes to divine love, like a higher dimensional kind of love. And so divine masculine may feel as though divine feminine is rejecting them, but really it's divine feminine has all this experience, all this deep understanding through personal experience, that being in the flow state is where we feel most at peace. It does not mean the love isn't there, okay? So I'm just going to talk about my own personal experience to try and clarify this more. So in my personal experience, I've had this like amazing, powerful, divine love connection. I've had a few of these, okay? And the previous one lasted about 10 years of this like intensity, massive intensity. I learned so much from that. For about 7 years of that 10 years, I was holding on so tightly. I was holding on thinking that the conclusion of that connection was meant to be like a physical union, and that was the ultimate goal kind of thing. And I held on to that, and it created a whole load of pain. It created a whole load of frustration, and I was living for the future, and so much heartbreak. And it felt so personal. It felt like this other person was rejecting me the whole time. And it wasn't that. It was like about these deep soul lessons. And I realized, after 7 years, it took me that amount of time to realize that in surrendering, and I only surrendered because I experienced major heartbreak, like feeling like I would never like love like that ever again kind of thing. Because I felt like that person was the one, I labeled it in my mind, or I had belief systems in my mind that person was the one, and so I'd attached a load of like belief systems on that based on social matrix. The one means this, that and the other, so this, that and the other is meant to happen kind of thing. And I felt like it was a personal rejection. This person was rejecting me the whole time. But then after like 7 years, and then getting really heartbroken to the point of realizing, okay, it's not going to happen like that, and having to let that go, and really believing and feeling like I was letting go of love, like I was never going to be happy, I was never going to have that kind of love or connection ever again. I really, really believed that. But then after a lot of that healing, a lot of surrender, letting that go, healing my heart, and that really allowed all the thought patterns that were creating pain, or the stories that were creating pain where I was taking it personally, and all these childhood wounds that I'd subconsciously wanted this person to heal within me, looking outside of self for that, looking outside of self for that person's validation. Once I'd surrendered all that, because I was so heartbroken, I couldn't go on holding on any longer, I finally gave up. That is when I found peace. I was no longer living for the future. I was living in the present moment. I realized I could be happy, it still took like at least a couple of years after that to really feel like I could be happy and peaceful, because a lot of those stories, a lot of that attachment, codependency, and that spiral of thoughts, that cycle of thoughts I've been locked in for so many years, that all dissipated. And through the mind dissipating in that way, I could actually understand that connection so much better. I could really feel, I dropped into the heart, the soul, the intuition, and I could feel the love, and the love that person still has for me and always will have, and vice versa. I realised what unconditional love truly is. I realised none of it was personal. I realised, you know, that all these things I was sort of blaming this person for, you know, I realised my own reflection and all of that. And I realised the connection was about learning these major things, learning to let go of holding on to the future and all the pain and frustration and taking it personally, okay? So many of you, divine feminines, have gone through that, or you're in a stage of going through that. So then, in my personal experience, when I finally, it took about 10 years to finally and fully like release that and be fully at peace with that. And then, you know, as soon as I did that, energetically I aligned with another extremely powerful connection, which is like the next stage. And I, as the divine feminine, have learned so much from the past, and so I feel like I can flow or fall into the surrendering into the flow of the connection, and not trying to make it this or that or the other, because I learned that just created pain. So if you're understanding and relating with that, this may be why your divine masculine is feeling rejected. If they don't understand, if they feel as though your peace and acceptance and flow state, if they feel like you're not striving enough, or you're not, I don't want to use chasing, if you're not striving enough, or if you're not like super upset and codependent and clinging on to them, they may be feeling that that's an indication that you don't love them as much as they love you. But they may be feeling a little bit like that if they haven't had this previous experience. So they may be relating to how you are with them based on how they are with you. And if they feel like that, if they're interpreting it to be like they have more feelings for you because they're feeling these strong tendencies to want to reach out and make things happen, and it's not to say divine feminine isn't wanting that, isn't feeling the desire. What I'm trying to say is divine feminine, you feel the love, you feel the desire just as much as this person. You feel that union just as much as this person. But many divine feminines, you learnt from the past to interact within this union from that place of peace. But divine masculine, they may, some of them are interpreting that to be that you feel less for them because you've already ascended before meeting them from codependent kind of ways, okay? You learn like detachment. It doesn't mean that you're detaching from this person, it just means non-attachment. There was a realization in divine feminine that holding on tightly just creates pain, and it takes you into the mind and the fears, and it actually distracts you. It takes you out of dropping into your heart, feeling the love, and actually fully being present and embracing the love and the beauty of this connection as it is right now. And I feel many divine feminines, you have either shifted into that or you're shifting into that. Some divine masculines, they may be feeling a little bit self-conscious or embarrassed if they feel like they have these deep desires. But divine feminine, I feel like you're very understanding of that because you've been through that, and you're not looking down at divine masculine if they're still in that process of learning. We can feel like humiliated. That's how I used to always feel. In the previous connection, I felt humiliated a lot because I was wearing my heart on my sleeve, and it's because I had certain expectations and I was wanting this person to do this, do that, or be this and be that. And then I ended up feeling like a bit very humiliated at times, because I'd, opened my heart and was pouring my heart out. And none of that, and this isn't my denial, none of that was that person's fault. It was the way the universe had set that connection out for me and that person to learn that unconditional love. And when you're in that place, you feel the love so much more deeply because you're not so distracted by all these fears. So I feel like divine masculine, they're feeling maybe embarrassed because they wore their heart on their sleeve, but then they're feeling rejected because, and it's natural at some stage in our lives, we all associate love with longing and obsession. And don't get me wrong, divine feminine, I feel you're feeling all these things in terms of you're thinking about this person all the time, you're feeling this deep love. But many of divine feminine, you're not in this place of codependency, but that does not mean it's the opposite. Just because you're not codependent, it doesn't mean that you don't have any desire, or you don't care about this person, or it's like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you're actually more in your emotions. You're more in your feelings, and you can really bask in the beauty of this connection and feel all this deep love. Okay, so I feel as though divine masculine, they're really needing this understanding. They're needing this nurturing. And divine feminine, I'm really feeling like the more that divine masculine is opening his heart in this way and wearing the heart on the sleeve, that is like what makes you fall in love like with this person even more. And it's the same for divine masculine. When you open your heart, when you pour out your truth to this person, they feel so loved, so embraced, so accepted, and cherished for who they really are. Okay, so I feel like divine masculine for set of cards number 1 has pulled back somewhat because they feel like they exposed their feelings too much, and then they felt rejected. And then they felt like embarrassed about that. But divine feminine is certainly not rejecting divine masculine. Maybe they feel rejected because of certain circumstances in your life as well. But again, none of this is a rejection at all. None of it. Divine feminine, you're feeling this deep, deep love. And you see like the bravery of this person. And there's a deep understanding of this. There's also a message coming through that divine masculine, I feel they're learning a lot of things that divine feminine previously learned, but they're learning that from this connection with you, and you as divine feminine are learning a lot from them as well. And divine feminine, I feel like this connection was your dream come true, because divine masculine opened their heart in that brave and courageous way. And that is one thing divine feminine has always wanted, because they feel as though they never experienced that in previous connections, and that was very heartbreaking for divine feminine. Okay, divine feminine, I feel like you are kind of healing from that past heartbreak as well. So even though you had acceptance of past, and there's a lot of peace in your heart, and you've healed a lot, there may still be a little bit of a wall around your heart as well. But divine masculine is really helping you to open your heart. Falling, you know, divine feminine, you've fallen for this person. And divine masculine means so much to the divine feminine, because I'm going to say he, but divine masculine can be a female as well. But divine masculine, he came into your lives and with such profound love. It's like the first time divine feminine has ever experienced such a profound love, and the other person, divine masculine, immediately like felt that at the same time and offered their heart, offered their cup, kind of thing, to divine feminine. So that was like divine feminine's biggest wish, and divine masculine was the one to provide that and offer that. Okay, so there's absolutely no shame in that, because divine feminine loves that is what you love about the divine masculine. And divine masculine, I feel, has no idea how much they have healed you as the divine feminine. Like, they've got no idea the immensity of like joy and love and appreciation and healing that divine masculine has provided. Okay, through having that open heart, through them wearing their heart on their sleeve and expressing that like bravely and courageously. Divine feminine, I feel like many of you really look up to divine masculine, because they had that bravery to wear their heart on their sleeve like that. Whereas divine feminine, I do feel like, even though you healed a lot from the past, there's a lot of walls up, and divine feminine, I'm actually feeling like you're the ones for set cards number 1, where you wouldn't have been as brave as that if you felt that way about someone else, because I feel in set cards number 1, this is divine masculine, recognize the connection first. And it is partly because you as divine feminine were still in the process of tying up that previous connection, or coming into peace with that. Second you did, you realised the connection and the love for divine masculine, and you're just so in awe, or so looking up to and proud and like amazed at divine masculine's ability to just wear his heart on his sleeve and have that open heart and make it known to you as the divine feminine, especially as that was a direct, for some of you, a direct like contrast to what you experienced in previous relationships or previous connections. There was always a hesitancy from divine masculine, and then this divine masculine, none of that at all. A lot of bravery, a lot of courage, a lot of confidence, and I feel divine feminine, you're very much appreciating of that. You appreciate that so deeply, to the point where divine masculine would never know, like no amount of you telling that person that will let them know, make them able to know how much that meant to you. that, like that, how that meant and means like everything to you on such a deep soul level. So divine feminine, this is divine masculine in their maturity. This is a mature divine masculine. But I feel like it has triggered them a little bit, like, because divine feminine, you either weren't expecting it, or you still had some fears and reservations, or in your shell. And divine masculine feels as though you've sort of pushed them away, or you've turned your back on them, or you've rejected them, or you don't appreciate them, and they may feel like they've kind of embarrassed themselves or something. But that is not the case. That is not how you as divine feminine see it at all. You value this connection so deeply. So let's look into some tarot cards. And we're using the Robin Wood deck, and then we're going to look at some more oracle cards. So, what do you need to know about this connection? Thoughts and feelings? What does Spirit need you to know? I feel you as divine feminine for quite a while. You've not realised that divine masculine was feeling this way, because you were feeling happy in the connection, you were feeling the love, and some of you haven't realised that there's been like this misunderstanding, or divine masculine not knowing how much you love them. Five of Swords, the Sun. So yeah, this is an energy of pushing away, okay? Divine masculine, they felt pushed away. And so maybe they've withdrawn and you feel pushed away, kind of thing. But it's a lot of fears, it's a lot of wounds. In truth, it's like how you feel, both feel about each other. It's the sun, it's joy, it's love. It's like so deep that there's no words in this human language to describe it. There's such a high dimensional love and all the layers of that. Okay, so this is a message here about, it could be you, the viewer, who's feeling rejected right now, or it could be the other person. So take it however it resonates. Okay, so this person here is holding 3 swords. That's the 3 of Swords. That's the card with the heart that's pierced by the 3 swords. It's heartbreak. And swords are about mind and perception. So when you met, one of you still had some swords in their heart. There was still some sort of heartbreak. Swords about the stories. There could have still been like feelings or beliefs about being rejected or abandoned when it came to love, or even deeper than that, it could have felt like being rejected by the universe because some sort of previous heartbreak. And so it's this person's heartbreak that pushed the other person away. They had walls up. Maybe they self-sabotage in certain ways. Maybe this is you, divine feminine, in some cases, that pushed a divine masculine away. Not intentionally, not because you don't love them, but it was because of fears of being open and vulnerable because of massive heartbreak in terms of doing that in the past, kind of thing. So this heartbreak, I feel left, made divine masculine. Feel confusion. There's 2 of Swords here. That's feeling confused, like, and unsure of this person, divine feminine's feelings. And so I feel like this is what's going on. Like divine masculine maybe kind of felt pushed away, or is walking away. but it's like Divine Feminine, you feel the sun. You feel like this person was a ray of sun. So even though it sounds corny, like sunshine, lighting up, this kind of energy that Divine Feminine you were feeling. You were feeling this clouds, this darkness, this heartbreak. Maybe Divine Feminine you experienced, and this could be for some of you the same connection and it's transformed. For others of you, this is like someone from your past. You are heartbroken. You had a lot of heartbreak and you experienced another relationship, or maybe many relationships where people were two of swords. They were hot and cold, wishy-washy. They weren't fully there for you, but then you realised, many of you realised from that past connection that it was your own heartbreak and barriers that didn't allow an alignment with that person, kind of thing. And then, yeah, this is what I was talking about. This Divine Masculine has come in with all this bravery, with all this like ray of sunshine kind of energy, confidence. This is the solar plexus chakra. It's all about that self-confidence and shining out their truth, shining out their feelings to you and being brave about that. And you know, it really shone a lot of light on Divine Feminine, okay, and turned Divine Feminine's world from this, because this could have been stresses about what's been going on in the world as well, and transformed Divine Feminine's world into this kind of thing. So this is how Divine Feminine feels about Divine Masculine, and this is how Divine Masculine truly feels about Divine Feminine as well. But it's like heartbreak within both, I'm hearing right now. And this is a natural part of these connections, right? You go through like really amazing times, but these are powerful connections for healing, for transformation. So there's going to be like tower moments, there's going to be bumps in the road, there's going to be confusion, the mind getting too involved and creating pain and stories that feel like a personal rejection. That's often what these connections and the stories we attach to them, it normally boils down to our fears of abandonment and rejection, not being good enough kind of thing. And so I feel like that's been triggered right now within your connection. Like you're both feeling heartbreak come up, and then the other person's confused. You may be confused about how they're feeling if they've withdrawn, and they're confused about how you feel. Thank you so much for joining me here. I really do appreciate it. Take care. Bye.